elegant temple right at the beginning. You're seeing the side view. And this is the passageway. The outer precinct. This temple has 5 precincts or courtyards, and we are on the outside. Behind me is the beautiful East Gopuram, the Raja Gopuram as it's called, the main entrance. It is 212 feet high. Another grand view seen from the inside looking out. We're in one of the inner courtyard. There are 4 Gopurams on the 4 sides facing the directions east, west, north, south. In addition, there are 4 more Gopurams, smaller Gopurams, inside the temple. We are inside one of the inner passageways. Taking a break, it is a large temple. It covers over 25 acres. The hill behind is the backdrop, a spectacular backdrop for the main temple, which, like I said, is a very huge temple with 9 Gopurams. The origin of this temple, as it is built now, goes back to the Chola era, between the 9th and 12th centuries, probably the 9th century. It is thought that the temple goes back much further than that, but we do not know for sure how far back and who really started it all. This is the element of fire. Shiva here is worshipped as symbolized by fire, and that comes about by a certain legend. It is said long ago that there was a bit of a competition between Shiva, Brahma and Vishnu on who was superior. And it is said that Shiv started a huge column of fire going up and below and challenged the other 2 gods and told them to find the extremes of this cylinder of fire. Brahma took the shape of a swan and went up searching for the beginning. And Vishnu took the form of a boar and went down. After some time, Vishnu gave up, couldn't find the end of this column of fire. So he came back and reported to Shiva that he had failed in his quest. Meanwhile, Brahma, as he was climbing up and up, he saw a leaf, or was it a flower? I think it's a flower that fell, which he had every reason to believe came from the top. On seeing the flower falling, he turned back with the flower in hand and told Shiva that he had indeed seen the beginning. Shiva knew the truth, of course, and therefore it is said that he cursed Brahma for being dishonest and said that he will never have a temple in his name and nobody will worship him. Now, what has all that got to do with this temple here? It is believed that on top of that hill behind is where Shiva made the column of fire. And therefore, this hill is quite sacred in that sense. And to celebrate this event year after year, there is a Karthigai Deepam festival that is celebrated here. Karthigai is a month. Deepam is, of course, lights. And they light with wood and camphor and whatnot. There's a huge spectacle that is created on Karthigai Deepam night. And devotees come from all over the world to watch this spectacle, which can be seen for miles around. And that is to celebrate that column of fire. Now, to be fair, if you are a Vaishnavite, the story changes somewhat. In that version, it is not Shiva who throws the challenge. It is Vishnu who throws the challenge to Shiva and Brahma. And Brahma does the same thing he did in the other version. And Shiva returns saying that he couldn't find the end. So, it's up to you to choose whichever version you prefer. The presiding deities here are Arunachaleswar, which is the name for Shiva, and Unnamulai Amman. Shiva in Sanskrit is known as Arunachaleshwar, and the Sanskrit name for Parvati is Apita Puchambar. This is the Magizham, the Sthalavriksha of Thiruvannamalai. Just like we had the mango tree in Kanchipuram, here it is the Magizham, considered to be very old and sacred. It is said from under the Magizham you can see all, or almost all, the Gopurams from one place. And they say seeing all the 9 Gopurams is a very auspicious thing. People tie little cradles, and these are from couples, who want to have a baby in their household. In the distance, you can see two Gopurams. Smaller one is part of all the inside ones, and the one behind is opposite the one we entered the temple. The western Gopuram with Thiruvannamalai hill as a backdrop. So between the eastern Gopuram and this courtyard and reaching the western Gopuram is quite some distance. In fact, there is a buggy service for senior citizens that starts from one of these opposite gates and takes you to the other one. We saw some buggies parked here and there, a couple of them, but we didn't see anything operational. So maybe it works only on festival days or something like that, I'm not sure. Kalahasti is where Shiva appears as air or winds. Kanchipuram is where he is earth. And here he is Agni, which of course symbolizes light, power, transformation. One feature of this temple is that the hill behind Thiruvannamalai itself is considered a form of Shiva. It's not just the lingam that is inside, which is known as the Agni lingam. Since the hill itself is considered a form of Shiva, there is, on full moon nights of every month, a whole set of devotees that go around the hill. It's about 14 kilometers, they say, and it takes a few hours to circumambulate. If you would like to not walk the distance, you have autos to take you on a tour around the hill. And we just told the guy if he would do that for us, and he said yes, and it's perfectly all right to do that because we are running short of time. We had a very good time in Thiruvannamalai. In terms of the sheer size of it, we didn't know quite what that 25 acres was. Walking here and there was quite a bit of a pain, if you know what I mean, physical pain. And it became crowded, although it didn't seem like that in the main entrance. It was probably as crowded as the first day when we were in Kalahasti. They didn't organize the routing of the pilgrims very well. If you wanted to be a little free and say, let me explore the southern tower now or the northern Gopuram, you just couldn't get out of it midway at all. So you had to fight through caged crowd, sort of. It's a small passageway with steel cages. So that curtailed our freedom a bit, honestly. That was the only little disorientation we had, but just waiting to explore what is simply a majestic thing. And as I pointed out, we also had a view of the tree, the sacred tree. So all in all, very good. It is something called Kili Gopuram. Kili in Tamil means parrot. One of the 5 inside ones is called Kili Gopuram. Why is a Gopuram called a parrot Gopuram? It is to do with an ancient Tamil poet, very famous, real historical character, not a mythological character. His name is Arunachaleswar Temple. He was a great Shiva Bhakt, wrote beautiful poems in Tamil. It so happened that had apparently the ability to transform himself into the souls of other living creatures. Okay. This could be legendary, although the person in question is real. Once got into the soul of a parrot. While he was busy being a parrot, his enemies in real life basically killed him. His real self, his human self, and even buried him. So Arunachaleswar, it is said, had no place to go back to. So he stayed as a parrot, and he, being this devout Shiva, stayed on this inner Gopuram, one of the inner Gopurams, I think facing Shiva, and then spent his life as a parrot there. And therefore, that Gopuram, I believe, to this day is called Kili Gopuram. I so wanted to see that, but I just could, perhaps next time. So we are now off. Our next stop is Chidambaram, And we'll be reaching there in the evening and checking in nearby Pondicherry. So I think just to do with the quality of hotels and stuff, just like we did the same thing in Tirupati, this time too, with Chidambaram temple, the grand, beautiful, majestic Nataraja Chidambaram temple, we are similarly staying in nearby Pondicherry at a place called the Cradle. And Chidambaram is just, I think it's about an hour away, probably less. So that's the plan. Thank you for being with us. And if you're driving, like the way we do all the time, we go everywhere by car. So if you do that sort of thing on the highway, drive safe.